Hey listeners, Dan Harris here, host of the 10% Happier podcast. Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible Originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/Harris or text Harris to 500-500.
Hey, what's up? It's Ryan Shazier, former NFL linebacker and host of the podcast Don't Call It a Comeback. Football season is finally upon us. That means lots and lots of yelling, great conversations, and abundance of delicious food. There's nothing like a good game day food tradition. I love grilling. And on Sundays, me and my family love eating Oscar Mayer beef franks. It honestly can't get more classic than that. But you know, game day can't stop with just one food. I love making cheeseburgers topped with some extra melty Kraft singles. And you have to get a little fancy with it by adding jalapenos and crispy onions. I'm getting hungry even thinking about it. I love sharing game day food traditions with my friends and family. Now is your turn to show off your tasty game day food traditions. Go to www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to share a photo of your game day food traditions to enter to win $10,000. Once again, that's www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to enter to win $10,000.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Tom Swift.
Yeah.
Tommy Augustus.
Tommy J. TJ Laidlaw. Here we go. You know, it's summertime here in the lovely bucolic True Grit Studios in Greenwich, Connecticut. Warm student. It's also, I know it's summertime because it's roller hockey season. And I know you never played?
Nope.
You guys played road hockey, ball hockey, right?
Yep, road hockey. Yes, we did. Yes.
So here and now, especially, there's roller. In summer, everybody stops playing ice and they go to roller tournaments. They're all over the country, all over Canada, and it's a huge thing. Now it's roller season. Like Connor Bedard is a big roller guy.
Yeah.
Pat Maroon. There's a lot of them that still do this, but it just, I guess, there's nothing you ever tried. Not even in the '90s, because you were in LA in the '90s when it was massive.
Yeah, but we never played. But I did play here in Greenwich, Connecticut. There's a beautiful place called Todd's Point. It's a park. Sure. It's got beach. It's got a road that goes around. And actually, we mentioned him recently. This Pete Knudsen got to be a good friend of mine. He passed away the last couple of years. Great guy. He's a craftsman. He laid tile and bathrooms and kitchens. So we got to be really good buddies. And we played men's league together. He wanted to stay in shape, so we get roller skis.
Sure.
And we go around Todd's Point.
So you skated.
Well, yeah, it was great exercise too. So one day, I can't remember, I was in a bad mood. And you must have said something mean to me. So
I must have said,
you were going to.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So I was rollerblading around, and they've got this area where they put is it like a kayak almost with a sail on it? The surfboards or sail?
Oh, like windsurfing.
Windsurfing,
yeah.
Yes. So they got this one area where they put the boats together, and then they carry them across the road. So they got to have two people, and for a portion of time, the sail is like 20 feet long, and it's across the road.
Oh, no.
So I'm rollerblading along. They see me coming.
Oh,
they still go there. I'm going to show them who's boss, right? So I go barreling into the sail, thinking I'm going to knock it down. Knocks me on my ass backwards. And there was a whole bunch of people around. They all saw that clearly I was the jerk.
Right.
I was steaming now. I'm fuming. I don't know what I was going to do. This one guy was there who knew who I was, and he saw me. Stop. You're an idiot. Like, what are you doing?
Tried to attack a sailboat.
Oh, God. And he was funny because he was right. He gave it to me. He was not kind to me. He was like, Tom, stop. You did this. It was like,
so at the moment, you're probably angry and want to fight everybody with it.
Embarrassed.
Yeah, like you got to get out of there. Oh, that's great. When I lived in the city, I would skate everywhere. I just grab the back of a truck and just coast. I loved it. I skated all over New York. It was wonderful. And I played hockey. I love this time of year because fans who are listening know this. You load up, you get your boys, you get the van, you load up, you drive to some tournament, whether it's Toronto or Florida or Ohio. And I would go with my guys, Robbie Carr, Eddie Carr, Mike Azron. We'd get in the car and we'd just drive and we'd go away for the weekend. It was awesome. And it was every time in July. And we just had a wonderful time. And it was always, it was great because it also sucked though because during the year you'd play against like roller guys, and then in the summer, well, the ice guys would play, and they were very good. I was at one tournament when Paul Stastny got drafted. They're like, "Hey, Paul, you just got drafted in the NHL." He's like, "Oh, that's cool." Huh. So it's a thing that people do. I think more kids do it because the amount of skill that you have to use, and it's 4-on-4, it's wide open. Sure. So you have the vision, passing skill. I'm trying to convince you, you're not buying it. I don't think not a roller guy. No. But look, a lot of guys who had on played. Morris Lukowicz played. Yeah. Rick Middleton even played a little bit. Yeah. I told you when I got drafted in the RHI by St. Louis, I got cut by Bernie Federko.
That's right.
So
we're gonna get Brian Mullen on. He's
Brian Mullen, huge roller guy. Brian and Joey, and they still play a game every October. They have a reunion game that my buddy Bobby Morgan is one of the guys who runs it. They play it.
And you were name dropping.
Name dropping everywhere, man. He runs it. It's on Printing School on 48th Street in the city, and it's like they just get back and everyone's a lot older, right? But like the Mullins still go. I think Brian, Joey, and their brother Kenny go and they play, and it's just a huge deal. Maybe we have to get down to that.
I'll go down. I'm sure that'd be a blast. You talk about taking trips. So when I was in college, so after my sophomore year, I had separated my shoulder, and Don Waddell, who's the president and GM of the Carolina Hurricanes, her name dropped. So he had this old green truck with a cap on the back. So now they had to go play the final game, had to take the bus someplace, Bowling Green or whatever it was. The plan was then we were going to get in Don's truck. There's 6 of us. 3 are going to be in the back. Now, there's no insulation or anything like that. And then it's a Marquette. It's still cold.
Yeah, it's freezing.
So 3 guys are going in the back. 3 were getting the cap. So they go on the road trip. I'm left behind. I was going to pack everything up, but I've got my arm in a sling because I'd separated my shoulder, had surgery. So I'm driving over to pick the guys up at the bus. And now we're going right from the bus to drive 30 some hours down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We got a tent in the whole bit. We're going to sleep in the tent. We got no pay. These guys got like $100. So I go to change gears. It's like the gear shift's on the steering column. So I'm reaching around with my left hand.
Oh, no.
Pull the gear shift right off. They pull the handle right off. So I pull up to the bus. And I walk out. Hey, Don.
Here's your, oh, no.
I hand it to him. He gets a roll of tape, hockey tape, puts it back in, rolls it together. We drive 30-some hours to get down there, 35 hours back with this tape. Full
hockey guys.
One of the best trips I ever had because it was a blast. I guess it was a deal we had. Didn't have any money. So we were going to go and have fun. It was all
there's nothing like road trips and the pranks. I'm sure you guys did that. We were playing at one point. I think we were in Cincinnati, and we had this goalie Devin Kloss. He's a kid. He's 19, and so our guys did the trip where they filled the garbage can with ice water. We opened the door, splash.
So nice.
So I don't know if I can even tell this story on the podcast. So we had some city kids we played with, and they were like cut different, right? So Marcus Fajardo, who's a phenomenal hockey player, big listener in Spain for us right now, by the way.
Marcus Fajardo.
So he is like, I'm going to get those guys back. So, can I say this?
Go ahead.
So he takes a shit.
Oh, nice.
And he writes on their door in their room, because he's sticking up for our goalie. He writes FU number 8. That was him, right?
Yeah.
And then he puts on the door handle, puts on the rental car handle too. Yeah. Right. So they were picked up. And then he also did another one. We're in Cincinnati. I think I drove back. No, this was a different. Maybe that was Florida. This was Cincinnati. I'm driving back with him, and he's like, call Robbie and Eddie Carr. So he calls our guys. He's like, hey, they put their power back on in the hotel? And they're like, no, it's still out. And he's like, all right, let me know when they fix it. Turn the main power off in the hotel.
He did, really?
So guys I was playing ball hockey down in Philadelphia once, and these guys, like, they blew a door off one of the hotel rooms. Insane, just insane. So people, and these aren't like, you guys are pros, so you can do some crazy stuff, but these guys had like regular jobs. Like, you get arrested, some crazy shit. I know you did a lot of the furniture tricks, but is there anything else cool you guys did?
Nicky Catillo was one of the best. Like, he'd go down at a restaurant downstairs that had a lobster, like live lobster floating in a tank. So he'd go grab live lobster, break into some guy's room, and then put the lobster on the guy's chest. So he wakes up and there's a lobster crawling on his chest.
That's epic.
Yeah. So Nicky was good. We did stuff. We got traded up. When I got traded up to LA with Bobby Carpenter, Bobby wasn't a really well-liked guy.
Really?
I've known him now, and he's fantastic. We've all changed, but we got him one night. Well, that's special. We just went in and had a big bucket of water and poured it on his bed.
Wait, you're the new guy getting traded with him, and you don't stick up for him, and you jump with the other guys?
Yeah, he was not well liked at that time. And again, it wasn't fair. He got to a whole season in LA in Washington, where he held out for a new contract.
Oh, right. People don't like that.
He was a young kid. He was
50 goal scorer.
Oh, yeah. No, he was a good player. And again, I've seen him since, and we've all changed. But it was, he was not he was a different guy than everybody else. It wasn't like people hated him.
They were just, different. American.
But there's a lot of little stuff, like Larry played fair. Big Larry played fair. Tough guy, right?
Mess with him.
He would do a lot of little things. Like, I played with him in LA, came back to New York. I'm all excited to be back at the Madison Square Garden, go to pregame skate in the morning. Back then, we did take a bus to go back to the hotel. It didn't make sense in Manhattan, so we just take cabs.
Sure.
So I'm running around. I got a bunch of people. I got to meet tickets and all this stuff. He had gone in and sewed my pocket, the money inside, which I couldn't see, right? It's just like the pocket.
Yeah.
Meticulous. Like
Nice.
So I get in the cab. I don't know this is going on. I get in the cab. I go to pay the cabbie. I can't open. I mean, the cabbie doesn't speak English. And I'm trying to say to him, I can't get your money. He's thinking I'm trying to rob.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, it was really good. He put a lot of time into just a small. He would do things like he'd get into practice early. He'd put just a cup of water at the top of your stall. And then he'd run a string, like a lace, a whole bunch of lace, all the way around the room where he's sitting. Then the funny thing about it was that he would put so much time there. At the time he took
respect the effort.
Yeah, that's really.
And he was a big, tough guy, so you're not gonna, you gotta just kind of take it from him.
And just a great guy too. He would never fight one of his own teammates because of something like that. But he was, yeah.
But that's what, and again, it goes back to it. No matter what kind of, if you played in the NHL or in college or played roller or a mite or a peewee, there's nothing like hockey road trips.
Yeah, it's the best. You know the thing I look back at though. Here's something I regret. Hazing.
Yeah.
So I took part of that. I was never hazed. I never got it, even at pro level. I don't know why.
What you're talking about, were two different things. So there's pranks that we were talking about, and then there's actual initiation rituals.
So back in these days, this is getting the guy on the trainer's table, taping him down, shaving his head, shaving his testicles, all that stuff.
Testicles, wow, it's a medical show.
But the worst I saw was Chris Katsopoulos. Oh, they got him. Have we told this? I
don't think you told us. This is Kotze for.
So when you come in as an NHL player your first year, especially back then, it was like respect the older guys. Sure, you can joke around a little bit, but that's not Kotze's personality, right? Kotze's got that fiery personality, always talking back and everything. So they decided they were going to get him. It was a right play land. They came out, there's a trainer's table. They put a stick underneath the table, tied his arms to it like he's on a cross, and the same thing with his legs.
Right.
And so he's laying there with no clothes on. And
Jesus.
Tied it.
I mean, it's a little,
So they tied a ski lace to his penis.
Yep.
Up over the pipe at top there, stretched out a little bit so he couldn't move.
Well, you guys did that. They did that to Duguay too. So there's a whole method to this.
So then they got Kotze. I've never seen this before, where they one player who I won't name urinated into a cup right in front of Kotze so he could see what they're doing.
Oh, gee.
He then took the urine, dumped it out, but came back with a glass of hot water. But Kotze still thinks that it's urine in the cup.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So they got him. He's pinned down. He can't move because if he moves, he's going to lose his
right.
Never met family again. So they pin his nose and they start pouring what he thinks is the urine down his throat, but it's hot water. And he's squirming and everything. And then they shave him, but they do it with a loose razor for their nick.
How is this building the team?
Exactly. Well, that's glad you said that. So they finished up. They came over to me and they came right beside me and said, "Are you going to talk anymore this year?" I said, "No, sir. I'm not talking anymore this year." And that's your point is exactly right. It was just like a rite of passage. I look back at it now, like any teams I coached a high school team years ago, and they didn't do that kind of stuff, but there's like traditions.
Yeah.
I said, no, there'll be no more of that stuff. One of the best things I ever heard was from Zdeno Chara when he was captain of the Boston Bruins. And they asked about hazing or even the treatment. Like even now at the NHL level, they have a team dinner. The rookie players will throw their credit cards in and pay for them.
Sure.
And they'll have champagne and the whole bit. So it's like the bill sometimes $15,000, $20,000. But he said, no, you know what? If you're on this team, you're on this team.
Right.
Now, you need to respect the older players, but you're not going to get treated any less because you're a younger player. And I thought that's, because looking back at it, it was just like, I think we accomplished that. They accomplished nothing. It was just more the old guys had gotten hazed before.
They passed that down. But then eventually someone broke the cycle, though.
Yeah. Well, I think the laws changed too, where you were allowed to do that. Yeah. So the stuff they did in the past, they thought about Bobby Orr and all those great players that got she. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. It served no purpose whatsoever. It didn't help anybody. It didn't help the team. Didn't help the young players.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't serve any purpose. It's just like, it just makes derision basically, because now there's definitely a chip down below. So you're either saying, I'm going to get those guys back, or I'm waiting for the next guy to play so I can get him. And that's kind of sick.
Well, most players, it's funny because a lot of players are like, yeah, okay, now I'm in the group. I've gotten hazed, so now I'm part of the group. That's how a lot of guys. Now, there's other guys. I'll tell you, because he said it on a show. Mike Allison, he and I started together. They hazed him out in Vancouver, I think it was, and he said, I was pissed. He says, yeah, I did. Wasn't called for at all. Didn't like it. Again, that was rare though that a player would take that attitude. More, it was like, okay, I'm a rookie. That's
I got it. But that's also, that's like things have changed. I mean, you can't. That doesn't add for anybody. I mean, that's.
Again, I look back at it now, and I make sure I tell kids this. Listen, whatever team you're on, whether I'm coaching or not, hazing does nothing for you.
Nothing.
There's no purpose.
Were you involved? You were directly involved in some of those rituals?
Yep. Again, for me, I was first year captain. The first year,
but you were all freshmen though,
right? So it wasn't though the we didn't get, it was the first year, so it's the second year. So now we got a new class of people coming in, so we would initiate them. We didn't do terrible things to them. We do things like, so that our practice rink was it was in the gym, big building where there's other offices and all that. And there's always kids coming and going. So we would tie people to a chair nude, and then we dump a big bucket of ice on their crotch. So as they're sitting there, they're freezing, they're shrinking, but they're now the ice is now melting and people are walking by.
Oh God.
Or we put them in the elevators like that and stuff. So it's,
so you're just big, like bullies, just bullying people.
Yeah. Oh, and another one of the stories, looking back at it, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
But I mean, in a 30,000 foot view, it's not cool. It's traumatizing. You know.
Oh, man, that's a good point. We had one player who had some, like, I can't remember what it is, had some mental health, like depression or whatever. And we were aware. So we went through the process to make it, because again, we were looking at it that this is now how you're kind of sworn into being one of the boys.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that's correct that we looked at it that way, but that's how we looked at it. So we actually wanted him to be one of the boys, but we didn't want to initiate him the same way we did everybody else. So it's more like we took him into the room, went through the motions, what we're going to do, and then.
But I mean, you could initiate someone by saying, "Hey, first year guys, you pick up the pucks at the end of practice."
Yeah,
like simple stuff that.
Yeah, and that should almost be something that you're exactly right. You carry the bags maybe from the bus to the building, those kinds of things.
Or not even just the extra, the team stuff. Yeah, not even like don't carry a player's bag, but like you guys clean up the ice. Yeah. You guys pick pucks up. So.
And that's kind of the way that kind of stuff should be an automatic thing that young players just understand that's part of what it is, and that's it. Then they're because again, I know this is totally wrong, but our logic was that even I didn't want to get initiated,
right?
But when I didn't get initiated, it was like I didn't feel like I was one of the boys. I'm glad I avoided this, but I felt like, geez, why aren't I getting it?
Yeah, but that's a little bit. I mean, that gets a little bit twisted psychologically too. That's kind of a mess.
We've been around enough.
Listen, you respect your elders, especially on the A team, and you just you do. You just don't make it about you, and you just be.
That's the thing with these young kids coming in now, like McDavid, Matthews. Those guys come in at 18 years old.
They're so polished.
Oh, being so mature. Watch Bedard. Watch his interviews. It has hurt some players. There's a young guy, defenseman for the Flyers, like 5 or 6 years. Was it Gothenburg?
Yeah.
So he came in as an 18-year-old. He was really a good player. Had a great year. And the story was with him that he wasn't mature enough to handle it. That
really,
he really thought he was that veteran player, and really hurt his game. And his game went downhill after that. Now that can't be the whole reason, but that was part of it.
Yeah, I think he just signed with somebody. I think, or maybe, I don't know, maybe Florida or something. But yeah, I guess you have to be respectful. But it's almost shocking that someone wouldn't be because.
And you know what it is too? It's having a strong locker room, like having good. Like that's the big thing about Boston, the culture they built with Patrice Bergeron, Char when he was there. Like you walk in there, like that Charlie McAvoy. Is that the defenseman?
Sure, yeah. Long Island kid.
Wow, yeah. When he walked in, like wow, like his confidence level was off the charts. But I thought to myself, okay, he's not going to get cocky. Chances are he won't become cocky.
There's no way with Zdeno Chara there. There's no chance. Yeah. 6'9" stud who's outworking everybody at 40.
The way he carries himself is such a professional. Bergeron's the same way. He's playing with a punctured lung, broken ribs, and all this kind of stuff. As a player, you're watching this stuff. You say, well, those guys do it. I better be able to. Now that's how I'm learning how to be a pro.
And those are 3 Hall of Fame, including Marchand, who was a pest, but is also works hard as a great player. I mean, that's
why for me, I look back. Having a guy like Carol Vadney,
sure.
Daigle was in that category too, but with that, like directly, like he was on top of me. Like he saw something. I was his project. And I look back, that was invaluable. Like learning the things that I've learned.
Very, very underrated player. Was really good defenseman.
Eating too. And nasty. He would do some stuff. You watch him do it.
Was he a smoker? He looks like a smoker. Was he a smoker?
Cigars.
Okay. Yeah, he looks like the type.
He was really into his art. He had a lot of art.
He was cultured.
Yeah, he was. He's cultured. He drank his white wine or red wine and the cigars. Yeah.
Do you guys have a lot of smokers when you're playing?
Guys like Gresher is a smoker. Eddie Johnston, we called him Siggy because of his smoking. Eddie would smoke in the locker room, but in between periods, he'd go to the bathroom that was right adjacent to the locker room, smoking in the bathroom.
So, I mean, that people were smoking. The garden was full of haze from all the smoke. Yeah. Did you ever smoke cigarettes?
No, couldn't. I tried when I was a kid. And my mother was a smoker when she was younger, and she quit smoking. But I tried. And I just.
Yeah, I hated it. My entire family. My dad taught me a great lesson. You'll like this, Tom, because you like these kind of lessons. So I was 8 or 9, maybe even younger, and I was at the bar with my dad after a softball game. And I was like, "That's so cool! You're smoking." And he's like, "You think this is cool? Here, try it." And I can taste it to this day. Right. I took a puff and I vomited. I could see the curve. I could see my face going to the ground. It was disgusting. It stuck with me. And I never smoked cigarettes.
It was a good lesson, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
So my first experience with alcohol, I think I was like 14, 15 years old or something. And we got into the lemon gin. I don't know how this happened. What is it? Next day, I think that was probably the first time I drank. All my buddies that I was with that night were now coming over to, by that time we'd sold our farm, built another house and a pool in the backyard. So there's a summer day we were coming over to swim in the pool. And my parents saw it, didn't know. And the kids all started joking around. My mother got wind of what they were talking about. Oh,
wow.
But I remember the biggest thing because I was throwing up. I was terrible. Like, I was, yellow and all that kind of stuff. Well, you learned a lesson today, didn't you? She was not happy about that. Oh, man.
No, why would you? Yeah. You know? Wow. But that, you learn your lesson. But, well, maybe you learned your lesson a little bit, right?
Yeah. Don't drink lemon gin. My youngest son, Cody, he's 30 now. He's probably like 15, whatever. 15, 16 years old. I'd always talk to him. I said, listen, you're going to drink. You shouldn't. Yeah. Maybe you got to wait till but we're not naive, right? Two things. If you're ever in trouble, need to ride someplace, you call. Even if you're drunk, I will come and get you. I won't ask you any questions so that you know you're safe. And secondly, don't get in the car with somebody else that's been drinking.
Right.
So he had gone out with his friends. His mother had picked him up, and they got in the garage of her home, and he started throwing up in the garage.
Oh, boy.
And so they called me, and I don't know, maybe she was panicking or whatever. So I said, put him on the phone with me, please. And I said, Cody, you've been drinking? He goes, it's so clear. Right? So I said, okay, I'm coming over tomorrow. I'll be there about 6 o'clock in the morning. Go on. Now I'm thinking, I'm going to torture this kid. I'm going to make him sit in the car with me, turn the heat up. And he walks out. He looks terrible. That looked yellow and green.
Yeah.
We sat there and talked for probably 45 minutes, like the fatherly lecture. Listen, your health, you can't be doing this stuff. And again, I'm here, all the things you think you should say to your son when he's going through that. And then I said, so did you learn anything from this? And he'd been drinking gin as well. He says, yeah, don't drink gin. kind of got it. But he knew what he was doing. I had to laugh a little bit.
It's great. Our dads give us great. I remember the time in high school, I got drunk with two of my friends that day, really. Brad back over, rest in peace, Brad. But my dad, they called my father, and he picked us up at the park. I was throwing up all over the place. I remember we drank Grolsch beer, which is this Holland beer. It's disgusting. Right. Anyway, I threw up, and Brad, before he passed, would always tell the story. We got together. He'd say, your father, for the saddest time. My dad was like everyone's baseball coach too. So I was in the backseat puking, whatever. I was done. He said, your father turned to you and said, Smitty, alcohol's a funny thing. And sometimes you got to get fucked up. And that was the whole conversation. That was it. There was no other, and I was great. I thought I'd be, grounded and all that. He's just like, and then later he just told me, just don't be an idiot, Yeah.
But don't you think that's better? Like,
yes.
I remember I had a motorhome when my boys were smaller, so we traveled around. We'd sit outside. I'd have beer with me, so I let him try to sip of it. I said, listen, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. But I think if you make it a bigger deal, then they want to sneak it.
Don't touch it. Oh, yeah. Because they have a curiosity, especially at that age, because our prefrontal cortexes aren't developed. So we still, we don't make the best decisions for that age. But dads, again, I'm glad we're ending on dads giving great advice to their kids, to their boys, because we're going to have a son of a legend. We have Bobby Nystrom's son, Eric Nystrom, on the show. And it's going to be a great episode. His dad was, I'm sure, a wonderful role model for him because he always talked about how much he respected Bobby Nye,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to listen to him talk what it would like to be a son of an NHL player and a real big impact player, too.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Howe, same way with his Gordie House.
And Brian Boucher's son is a first-round draft pick, too, so we got some cool stuff going. But, yeah, this is a great episode. People will enjoy Eric Nystrom, who's a Long Island kid who made good and had a great career in the NHL. All right, Tom, we have a great guest today. We have a player who had a wonderful career on his own and is also the son of somebody who knocked you out cold. Sitting out of Long Island's own, Eric Nystrom.
Eric, how you doing there, brother?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you again. We met each other. I think we knew each other, but we met each other in Dallas. What was that, like November or something? We played that charity game?
Yep. Somewhere around there. I can't keep track of the time anymore.
That's when the Stars destroyed the Rangers alumni team, right?
Bad goaltending. We said to the goalie at the start of the game, he actually works for the Rangers. That's Mike
Fasulo.
Yep. Said to him at the start of the game, listen, we'll see you after the game because I'm not coming back in our own zone. He thought we were joking around, but we didn't.
It's a little different when one end has Kari Lettinen and the other end has the Rangers media rep.
Yeah, that's right. Because you guys, Eric, yourself, you're still in great shape. And Kari Lettinen's out there. They had a bunch of good players there too. It was fun. That was a great weekend though. So what the Stars do every year, they'll set up a game against obviously another NHL team, bring them in. They got a fantastic day. The lounge there. They had dinner the night before. Oh,
yep. Man. Yeah, that's the Alumni Center.
Wow, that was cool. Very cool. So how are things? You're living where now?
I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida, Wellington, actually, just a little bit outside of West Palm. Moved down here from Michigan about a year ago.
Oh.
And I definitely, weather-wise and palm trees, can't complain.
So let's talk about this. I hope you know that your father tried to end my life several years ago. He was actually very nice. We were playing a series, and he knocked me out right at the end of the game. He was mad. I think I was hitting a bunch of guys, and he said he wasn't going to let that happen. So he came in with the forearm shiver, knocked me out, spent the night in the hospital. But he was great after. He came to me before the next game. He called me. He certainly wasn't afraid of me, tough as he was, but he felt bad. He said, "Listen, Tom, I apologize. I respect you out there on the ice. Didn't really mean to almost kill you, but did." So
I mean, if you watch his YouTube videos online, it makes a lot of sense. He was a competitor, and tough as nails.
Wow.
And back then, I think the rules were a little bit different.
Yep.
So he probably didn't even get a penalty.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't know if he did. What's funny? So I came in thinking I was the toughest guy on the planet. I could play college hockey. Really didn't fight that much, but I still thought I was Mr. Tough Guy. And played in the preseason game and fought Hector Marini. Went pretty well for me. So they put me in the big game against the Islanders the next night that I wasn't supposed to play. And your father came right over to me right away. I think he must have been told that I got in a fight and did pretty well. Banged me. And I started thinking, do I want to fight this guy like every night? I mean, that's his reputation, right? If you're going to start fighting him, then it's going to happen every night. He said to me one time too, we were yapping or something. He goes, "I let you hit me. I let you." What are you going to say to that when somebody says that?
Yeah, he's cut from a different cloth than all you guys from that generation.
Yeah,
it's not like that anymore. The tenacity, the grit, and it was just pure, just in the competition of the game. It wasn't. Towards the end of my career, we kind of had the enforcers that played very minimal shifts, got that shift, and then they fought the other enforcer.
Right.
And I had the utmost respect for those guys and what they brought to the team and the energy. But, back then it was more just, you guys were just such intense competitors in the competition, hated to lose.
Yeah.
That it was just, it was all about the passion, right? And when those altercations happened. So it's a little different, but you guys are crazy back then.
Well, what's funny too? Like, we say this stuff like, I respect your father so much. So he knocks me out cold. I spend the night in the hospital, but I talk about how much I respect him. And that's the way it was back then. It's just, we'd want to do anything to win. And I think because we were like that, we did respect each other more. Became friends with your father after. Clark Gillies, I played with John Tonelli, Bob Bourne, all those guys. So,
right. So rather than work on your skating and your skills, you just were just a big lunkhead, basically.
Yeah, that's what they wanted me to do. Yeah,
got it.
Came in. What's the saying? Come in as a crusher, you try to be a rusher. You're soon to be an usher.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. Well,
sounds like your career trajectory.
Yeah,
I think Tom's still ready to be a crusher. Look at this guy.
You're in shape too. I've learned more about conditioning now than I knew back when we played. We thought beer was a food group back then. So, where'd you grow up then?
On the island. Played there my whole life. My parents we were in Syosset. Great setup because the Islanders practice rink. I moved in in 8th grade, about 2 minutes from the Islanders practice rink in Syosset.
Oh.
So we had just an unbelievable setup there because one of my friends, as I got older and was getting into college and into the pros, one of my friends actually worked at the rink. He was a goalie and he knew how to drive the Zamboni. So whenever the rink was open, so whenever the rink was open, we'd go down, we'd shoot on him, he'd Zamboni the ice, and then he'd lock up the rink. So
that's funny.
It was a real blessing to have that set up. But I grew up on the island, did the billet thing after my junior year of high school, moved out to Michigan, played for that U.S. development program.
Okay.
And went that route, and then ended up playing college hockey at Michigan. So
that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I went to Northern Michigan, the Harvard.
Not a school. It's like a community college.
Up in the bush.
That's right. Bush, definitely.
And Eric, you stayed all 4 years at Michigan, right?
Yeah, stayed all 4 years. My senior year was actually a lockout, so there wasn't really an opportunity to leave school. But I wouldn't have had it any other way. I had the best experience at Michigan. Got the degree, made my closest friends there, and wouldn't have changed that for anything.
Did you have Red Berenson coaching when you were there?
Red was the coach. Still, so I was living there for 5 years. After I retired, I went back to school, did a master's degree at U of M, and I ended up being there for about 5 years. And there's a Tuesday night skate at Yost Ice Arena where all generations of former Michigan hockey players come. And Red goes out there, full equipment, helmet on, ready to go, slashing you in the back of the legs, chirping you. Oh yeah, still gets out there, full equipment. He's in phenomenal shape. I think he's I want to say he's like 80 or 81 now. So
But he's retired. He's not coaching now, right?
No, he's not coaching now. No, he's been out for quite a while now. But I owe a lot to that man. He's an incredible teacher, incredible coach, motivator, accomplished individual. So he was a great role model.
So when you were growing up, then obviously your father winning Stanley Cups and being Bob Nystrom, not just, we talked about how tough he was, right? It wasn't just like he was another player. Like he was one of the most feared guys. Goals he scored were big game-winning goals. The 4 cups, going to the finals 5 times. Was it a dream of yours to play in the NHL?
You know what? It was. It never really. I never even thought about it, to be honest. But I was privileged enough to just have access to the rink all the time. After my dad finished playing, he was an assistant coach for a little bit, and then he did a lot. He did some color commentary on the radio after he was done playing. So we would go to the rink at 6 o'clock in the morning to the Coliseum. He had a key to the Coliseum because he would go to the office.
Wow.
So again, we would go on the ice at 6 a.m., just a bucket of pucks, me and him, and skate on the Coliseum ice. I get to go to all the games and help him, work on getting the stat lines ready for his analyst job. So I was always around hockey, and I think it was just, I just loved it so much, but I didn't have that pressure of I want to be an NHL hockey player. I just played it because I loved it. And that just kind of opened doors. And as I got a little bigger, I had the skills, the size and the genetics to excel in the game. And plus, it doesn't hurt having a 4-time Stanley Cup champion teaching you the game. But being from Long Island, I didn't know what major junior was. I didn't know how the recruiting process worked for college hockey. I just played, and from that, the opportunities arose, and the doors opened that way. But it was just purely because I loved playing hockey, and I never had these high expectations. And then as I started getting to those levels, I made the U.S. program, and the first time I got on the international stage, I played against international players within my age group. I thought, all right, I got a pretty good chance at this because I thought I stacked up well. And then you get into these, central scouting draft lists, and then, college recruiting, getting a scholarship. I was like, wow, I never thought in a million years I'd be here. And it was just because I loved being around the game, but it was never like, I got to make it to the NHL.
And that Eric comes from a generation, the Long Island generation of great players like Chris Higgins, Matt Gilroy, Mike Komisarek, right? So you have a huge crew there that became pro players from Long Island.
Yeah, we had a great group. Our summer skates were awesome. A lot of the Islanders would come back. We had some great mentors that were playing in the league. At the end of the summer, they'd come back and skate with us when we weren't even in the league. We were just kind of coming into the minors and in college. There was just so many great guys that would come and teach us and show us how they prepared and how they practiced. But we had some great age groups. I played at Portledge, which is a good a local prep school on Long Island. You don't room and board. And then but we had the opportunity to practice every single day. But guys like Doug Murray from San Jose Sharks, a Swedish guy, his cousin went to the school. I don't know how he ended up going to Portledge, but Doug was on our team. Ryan Vesey. We had another kid, Evan Wax, played at Yale. Kenny Toronto, Harvard. We had a bunch of Gerard Miller went to UVM. We had all these D1 guys playing on the small prep school team on Long Island, but then we also played for that Apple Corps program as well at a little bit of a higher level, but we had access to the ice and a great age group bracket, and a lot of guys were really successful.
Well, that's amazing, right? You think places like Toronto or Montreal, those are the hockey hotbeds. The kids are growing up in that hockey environment. You wouldn't really think that Long Island would have that kind of environment, but clearly you did all those great young players.
Eric, I want to ask you too. We just had Mark Howe on recently, and he said that Gordy wasn't tough on him, but it was firm. How was your dad with you?
He really stayed out of the way, to be honest. He always he would always be the assistant coach on the team, but he would always run the defense. He would never come and run the offense, to just give that space. But obviously these coaches and Mike Squirt, Pee Wee, they're not going to run the same type of practice as Bob Nystrom is. Yeah. So he ran great practices. He had all these drills, help with the skills. But the only time that he was really hard on me is if that I didn't put the effort in. Because he just said, you know what, I'm not going to be shuttling you around if you're not going to put the effort into the game. But it was never an overbearing parent. It was just, you come to the rink, you're going to work hard. Otherwise, we're not going to come to the rink. You know,
You think that logic has helped you in life after hockey as well?
I mean, it absolutely, but also, you know, his, you know, that the players in that generation, as well, as successful as they were on the ice financially, they weren't getting paid the bucks. He had the work ethic. He made his career after playing hockey in the business world, and had great success. So obviously, being a hardworking player on the ice contributed greatly to his success as a player. But then, you know, the lifestyle he created after playing was also work ethic driven in the business world. So I got to see that firsthand. The guy's still working. I can't get him to stop.
Yeah, we're trying to get him on the show, so he's too busy all the time.
Oh, he's always going.
Isn't it your mother and he go out there and they hike out in the mountains and everything too?
Yeah, they head out to Colorado in the summertime for a few months. They're actually heading out there within the next couple weeks, but they're cycling at the altitude, 50-mile bikes, 47 miles uphill, 3 miles down. Wow. They're crazy.
He makes you look like a wuss.
I don't know, Tom. You should go out there one summer with him. You guys can.
That'd be fun. We should go out there and do a show out there.
He's doing crazy stuff out there, and it's awesome.
Oh, that's cool. So who were you drafted by?
Calgary.
What round did you go in?
I went first round to Calgary after my first year at Michigan. I was in the organization there for about 4 years. And then I went to Minnesota. I was a free agent, went to free agency, signed with Minnesota, a 3-year deal, and felt like, I had to live up to this contract. And I put all this pressure on myself, like, okay, I'm making this my first time, it just wasn't a great season. Too much pressure. Then I got traded to Dallas and just found a really nice niche, real great chemistry with the team, good opportunity. A coach really liked me there. And that was just like a great time in my career. And then after that, I was a free agent again, went to Nashville and finished my career there.
You say Scott coaching in Dallas when you were there?
Glenn Gulletson.
Oh, Glenn Gulletson. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's great that you say that, though, because a lot of the fans listening think this guy signed a big contract. Why isn't he producing? But they don't take into account that you're a human being and there's expectations, there's emotions, there's struggle. And, you said it yourself, you fit better with Dallas. And I don't think we get to see that. We think you got all these machines.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't get I had so many chances, couldn't get that first goal in Minnesota. And then it just like the gripping the stick and the confidence. It's a game of confidence. Yeah. And my confidence I had none whatsoever. And I was putting all this pressure on myself. And then, I got moved to Dallas and just got connected with some line mates that I really found great chemistry with, a system that I fit well in. And, had success early there, which helped me boost the confidence. And that ended up being some great years.
It's amazing, right? You look back at it now and you think, how did I lose my confidence, right? Like, I know I've told the story many times, but
here we go.
I was on the All-Star ballot one year. Was it
87?
87? This fine gentleman here actually got the ballot. But I remember thinking, that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And now I felt like, I know I'm an All-Star. I didn't have confidence in myself, but I just don't fit in. I could have played the All-Star.
They spelled James Patrick wrong. That's what happened.
No, the same thing. Even after my freshman year being drafted in the first round, I thought that I had to be like this other type of player because of the first-round player, but I was actually drafted because of the way that I played.
Right.
And, when you try changing your game because you have to live up to an expectation, you run into some trouble that way.
Yeah. That's really because when Tom got drafted and went back to school, he thought he was Hercules. How was that for you that sophomore year? Was it a difficult year being having this tag on your back now? First round draft pick, now coming back to Michigan.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For me, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You just again, you put all these expectations on, and you think that you have to be like a 35 goal scorer, but my game was just more suited as like a prototypical type of pro. The two-way game, could chip in offensively, physical, but I wasn't going to go out there and start toe dragging guys, but. There was a part of me that started doing a little bit of that and losing my identity. And from that, it translated to not a successful result on the ice. So there was definitely pressure on that.
Did anybody from Calgary come and talk to you and say that stuff to you? Like, listen, just be the player that we drafted.
I just kind of figured it out. I said, you know what, I can't be, this isn't working. And Red would tell me too, he'd be like, you know, you got to get back to your game, or, you know, like too cute. He'd tell you, you know, you're playing too cute, stuff like that. He was great at that. He coached so many great players through the ranks, high draft picks, NHL All-Stars, you name it. So he knew how to deal with that better than anybody.
So by the time you get to your senior year, you're back to being the player that they drafted, the Calgary drafted.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was just, I would agree with that. Just physical. By that point, you know, we had some great teams, and we would just get the puck in the offense's zone and just be cycling machines. I think I won the league. I got like the Selke Award for the best defensive forward in our conference for the CCHA.
Right.
So you know, I really carved out a niche as being a great defensive player. And that's kind of what I did in the NHL, was just some checking line, checking role. So I definitely found my identity by my senior year, for sure.
So then what happens in Calgary then? Did you play right away?
Oh my gosh. So Calgary, my first year, had a great training camp. My rookie year training camp, got sent down to the minors. And then after like 5 games in the minors, I got called up, played a couple games that year, then went back down to the minors for that whole season. My second year, got a shoulder injury in training camp, missed a significant amount of time, came back, and the thing just was no good, and ended up having a shoulder surgery. So I pretty much missed that whole season. So my second year, missed the whole year. Talk about being like dejected, against all odds, at adversity. Came back the next year in training camp, went down. And I just said, you know what, this is it. This is my year. I got to do it. Went down there for probably like 10 games in the year. Just started running around, came up, dropped the gloves. Mike Keenan was my coach up in Calgary at the time. I dropped the gloves a few times and worked my way into the lineup. And then I was up there ever since after that.
So did that become part of your game more now, the fighting part of the game?
Yeah, I dropped the gloves. I was like, you know what, I got to do something to stand out a little bit here, you know? And it definitely added to my stock, no doubt about it. Got me in the door, got me respect in the dressing room. You know, Mike Keenan obviously loved that type of stuff.
Well, totally. But that, you know, that makes sense though too, right? Because that, you know what he wants. So you want to get in the lineup, you give him what he wants, and now he's going to play you more.
I just needed to do something. I said, if I want to be in the league, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. And that at the time was exactly what I needed to do. And so I just stepped up to the plate. And that was pretty much the difference maker.
Right. Very cool. That's a good story. And then what now your father, going back to him, when you start fighting now, is he giving you any pointers, or you still leave me alone and let me do it?
Well, because I got a couple of fights, you know, I just got absolutely, I bit off more than I could chew quite often. You know, I was like 6'1", 195, not the biggest, you know, in terms of picking on some of these big guys, just because I just wanted to make it.
Had you fought before? Or was the first time you fought with Calgary?
Yeah, like, you know, in the junior, like the USA program. You know, we did the boxing. We were teams were always trying to fight us. So I definitely had quite a few fights in the USHL. But then 4 years of college, there was really no fighting.
Right.
So it was especially against guys who came from junior hockey, you know, like that were pretty much fighting all the time. So I definitely got my ass handed to me quite a few times.
Who gave you the worst beating?
Oh, well, let's see. I fought Tanner Glass a little later in my career, and oh man, he caught me in the back of the head. When I was watching some videos, I thought he was going to come in with the left.
I think I saw that video too. Yeah,
he went right. I thought he was going lefty, and he went right, and he tagged me. Oh, I was out cold there. I fought that Adam McQuaid from Austin. I did well with him. I connected a big one with him. It stunned him, cut him, but. You know, there's a bunch of it's Cody McLeod, Ian LaPerriere, but you know, like that would always give me some pointers.
Well, you went after the tough guys too. It's not like after some goal scorers,
Oh yeah, no, there were some bruisers in there. Yeah, I took some beatings.
So, how many games did you get in the National Hockey League?
I think I got like 593, so just under 600.
Good job.
Yeah, so
that's a good career.
A heck of a career. And
I always say to people, listen, you go back to your 8 years old, and somebody told you you're going to play close to 600 games in the National Hockey League. You're like, wow, that's pretty cool.
And I never thought in a million years. I don't think my dad had ever thought that in a million years. The fact that I just even made it to the league.
Yeah.
He's so proud of that.
Yeah.
So, he was a great role model for me.
That's cool.
In many different ways.
Now, what are you doing now for work?
I'm working I'm actually in cybersecurity.
Oh.
So, it's just a normal transition from the NHL into cybersecurity.
Yeah, everybody does that. Everybody does that, yeah.
It's funny that though our company, I think we have 11 or 12 people on our sales team, but 4 of them are former hockey players.
Oh.
Myself, 2 other guys actually played in the NHL. One had, probably, I think he played 8 games, but a lot of games in the coast in the American League. Another guy is actually won the cup with Pittsburgh. I think he played around 100 games. And then we had another guy who played in the KHL. So we have a little hockey team in this cybersecurity company. But
a lot of hockey players get into the sales business.
Yeah, exactly. It's a relationship type business, but you do, it's a steep learning curve, something that we're really not familiar with. And the first hockey player is actually another guy from Long Island, a guy by the name of Eric Bergdorfer. But he was the first guy in, really hit the ground running with all the attributes that you have in hockey, the discipline, the work ethic, the tenacity to get things done. And he was really successful early on. And so when I got introduced to the company through the same mutual friend, they were happy to take on another hockey player.
Right.
Now we're building a whole roster.
The only thing, the hard thing to get used to is people saying no to you, right? When you're an athlete, everybody say, oh, you're the greatest. And then all of a sudden I get the sales business and people start saying no. Like, what?
Oh, that's a lot of no's, but you just stay after it, just like anything else. Just like hockey. If you scored on every shot, it'd be easy. You're working for that goal. You got to shoot the puck a lot.
Well, speaking of no's, Eric, who was your agent when you were drafted?
I had a couple agents.
You never thought of Tom Laidlaw as an agent?
No, I didn't know. I must not have been good enough.
I was scared of his father. I didn't want to go lose to his father if they get beat up again or something. Yeah. No, it's funny. I didn't realize. I don't know how I missed you, but I do remember you were coming up, and I said, "Geez, I should have just called his father for that." But I didn't do it. So
that's all right. I'm sure it worked out one way or the other.
Yeah, definitely. And when you finally retired, did you injury retired? Or you just had enough?
Yeah, I had a couple. My last 2 seasons were pretty injury riddled. So the second to last season, I want to say, I missed 20 or 30 games. I got a terrible high ankle sprain.
Oh.
I was racing for a puck, and we just made contact before going into the boards, and I got spun around, and my foot got stuck underneath me, and it was just lodged against the boards. And it just completely turned, to the point when I got up to go skate to the bench, I was afraid to put my foot down because I thought I was going to have that Louisville basketball player. You ever seen that one where the legs snap in half?
Oh, yes.
That's what it felt like. My ankle just twisted completely around, and after a while I could walk fine, but as soon as I put the skate on, I couldn't play. So I missed the end of the season. I missed the playoffs. Came back the next year towards the end of the season. Shea Weber hits me with an absolute one-time bomb right off the top of the laces. Yeah, I was screening the goalie. My line mate laid a little slow dribbling pass to Shea Weber.
Worst guy that can hit you too, right?
You could just see his horse head coming, just licking his chops, full speed, leans into the one-timer, hits me in the top of the laces. And the buzzer went. It wouldn't even have counted. I didn't take my skate off for the whole period, because we were coming out for the third. And I went to him. I said, Webby, did you get that one? He said, I got all of that one.
Oh, no.
And then after the game, took my skate off. They x-rayed it. The foot was broken. And then by the time I got healthy again, young guys had come up and were playing well. And I had the injury the previous season. So I kind of just got pushed out the door, and I just knew that the end was coming. And I started taking online business classes with during the playoffs, I was in orientation on the back of the plane. I started in orientation because I just knew that this was, that I was done after this year.
Right. And now, did you had plans what you wanted to do after the game was over?
No idea. I'm still trying to figure it out.
I was exactly the same way. And I'd hurt my back, and I knew the end was coming. I was still okay, what am I going to do? We didn't make much money. We were talking before, so I had a young family. I had to work. It was just, I think that's both good and bad for athletes, right? We've got this thing that it's always going to work out, right? And it's always been successful. I think it works that way too. We make the National Hockey League, and it has always worked out. You figure something's going to happen. I remember thinking like, man, I got to get going here.
Yeah, no, I did. I tried to do all the right things. I got onto those online business courses and did that. And then I actually ended up going to U of M for my sport management master's degree. I was just trying to do all the right things. I did some. I bought a couple rental properties, which ended up being great investments. And I'm still looking to grow on that. On that side of my little side business. But COVID I went back for my master's, and then COVID happened, and I was still in town. And it's amazing when you go back to school and you sit in the front of the classroom and you apply yourself, how well you can do, as opposed
Really?
to chasing the sorority girls and playing hockey and doing keg stands.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So it actually spot to the so COVID happened. I was still in town and I had done well in school. My advisor called me and said, "Hey, do you want to actually teach a course at Michigan?"
Wow.
Yeah. So I taught like an intro level sport management course for a couple of semesters at Michigan before moving down to Florida. So I taught for pretty much a year and got that experience and had a bunch of student athletes in my class, and I tried to teach them the power of real estate and understanding that your career is only so long.
Do you think they listen?
Well, because I said, listen, I'm a first round draft pick. I played 10 years in the NHL, and here I am right now. I came back to school. I'm teaching here. I know that I'm still going to have to work in my life. Like if you set it up correctly when you're young, you might not have to be back here in the classroom or teaching. It's all about, the way you position yourself when you have that window of opportunity. And I tell that to all the young guys, like in the alumni weekends that we have at Michigan, that the pro guys now said, this is your window to plant the seeds to set you up when you're done playing.
And do you think they'll listen? Like, I think back when I was in college,
Tom wouldn't have listened.
Yeah, I would have listened.
They're like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking I'm going to play in the NHL for 100 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop playing. Yeah.
They don't, I think some of them do, some of them don't, but you don't quite understand the impact that, how hard it is once you get out of the game, the transition. It's definitely tough.
Yeah.
Not about it.
Yeah. You're missing the old team thing, like that. Yeah. First told that you're not playing anymore. You're not going back to a training camp. Like that's one of the things that kind of kicks in there. It's like, I'm not going to training camp. I've done that all my life. I've done training camp. So.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about the rental properties. I was playing a Ranger Islander alumni game, and I won't mention the players. A couple of guys that played more recent. So you're sitting on the bench chatting away, just getting to know each other. And I said, "So what do you do for work now?" And he looks at me and says, "Work." He says, "I invest in rental properties. Like they make so much money, they don't work anymore." Right?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Just saying, Aaron Burrows, and Mike Davinsky, the same.
Brandon Davinsky.
Changed his name.
He did. It used to be Mike.
But he looked at me. They both looked at me like I was nuts. Like work. We don't plan it.
No, it is. It's a great way if you set it up correctly. I mean, you don't have to, especially if you just like when you're making all the money. Yeah. That's the opportunity that you can. Banks are going to lend to you. You have the ability to just make the down payments on homes, and if you do that right, you can have once the paychecks from the NHL turn off, you can have. Yeah. I learned too much at the end of my career.
Right.
That's when I really had the education on that. So now I'm chasing the 8 ball and trying to get to that point.
Yeah, but at the beginning of your career, you're just focused on being a pro and staying in the league and succeeding. You're not thinking this days.
Exactly. But there are some guys think through it. Like there are guys that are smart. A small percentage guys really plan for the future. But the most of this part of the thrill of being in the NHL is that hanging with the guys, going for lunch out.
You're in the NHL, for Christ's sake. That's awesome.
But Eric's point though, if you could do both, you should be able to do both. You should be able to have the fun, the experience of being in the NHL, but also prepare yourself for after the game. Right?
Well, and it's also as simple as finding you live in your city, finding an affordable place, living below your means, and then you go to your next city, you hold that one, you rent it to somebody, you pick you pick something up in this city that you live in, you hold that. You play on 4 teams, you got these 4 homes that are just like growing in value, like just as simple as that. Right. But it really comes down to the education of that. Like nobody's really talking about that stuff.
Yeah. And it's the networking too, right? Like I do more networking now because it's actually a great opportunity because the Rangers have us out in public meeting all these wealthy individuals and business owners. So I've learned to really network well. But I should have done more of it when I was playing too. I did some of it, but it's,
that's it's like leveraging your network at that point when you're in your prime. Because when you're done, you're kind of like kicked out. You're out the door, and you're like, your relevance goes down.
Yeah,
you become irrelevant.
Yeah, isn't that true? That's one of the hardest things to handle. The ego takes a big beating with that.
Yeah.
Like, you go down the corner gas station, the guy's pumping your gas for free and everything. All of a sudden, now you're not playing anymore. He's like, who are you?
$30, please, sir.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell a story. All my stories. When I first got in the agent business, I was going to places like Moose Jaw and Swift Current and all that. And there's this bus company called Laidlaw Buses. And so I go check into a hotel. And now I'm in the agent business. People are saying no to me sometimes. I'm just getting started. So the ego's getting beat up all the time. So I go to check in and they'll go, Laidlaw. I'm thinking, please remember that I played in the NHL. And they'd always go, are you with the bus company?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they don't even know what I must drive for. Yeah, that's what it.
Well,
Eric,
go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say the other thing that you guys, were missing out on was the social media exposure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse in ways, that I think it's the root of all evil at the same time. But, think about some of these guys who played back in the day and their star power and, what they could have done with that social media outreach that some players have now. Like that's a machine for these guys.
Well, Tom's more than made up for that. I've seen his post. He's posted every day like a teenage girl. He's always got 5-6 posts a day.
I love it.
Yeah, but and I think it isn't just to better yourself or make more money too. You can really help other people out there too.
Yeah.
Like your father or yourself. I mean, you're out there, they see your work ethic exceeded. It's a total compliment to you. You didn't necessarily make it because of your skill. You made it because of your heart and your will and your drive. That's the same thing with father. So other people will follow you based on that. And geez, I can accomplish things too. Look at what he did. He didn't have a talent.
But to jump back to what Eric said, like Eric did a lot of charity work too while he was playing. You still do, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, as much as I can. The Predators had a great thing going on where you contribute, like X amount per year. You get all the tickets, for the game that gets contributed to, whatever you choose. They hang your banner in the arena with your face on it. To me, the most disappointing thing was that how every single player didn't have their face banner hanging up there. It wasn't at the amount that we were making, the contribution to to get to that status or whatever was nothing. It was a drop in the hat. But they had a great thing set up there that really helped out. We try to get involved as much as we can in any way we can with, I wish my dad always told me that I should have set up a foundation, but I never listened to that advice. That is a regret that I have, but any way we can help out, we're always looking for ways.
Makes you feel good, doesn't it? Like you're helping out them more, but you end up getting more from the event or whoever you help. I got to ask you, Shea Weber, one of my favorite players all time. Don't know him. Good guy.
Oh, great guy.
Nah.
He's one of those guys. Okay, like Shea Weber has you could stack up two of the biggest box jump platforms and he would jump it. Throws a football like Tom Brady. Like just just one of these specimen athletes in every way, shape, or form. He just
looked like a real leader too, right?
Like
yeah.
Intense competitor, but very even keeled, quiet. But that guy's a moose.
And so a tough question here. Do you ever get the feeling that you live in your father's shadow?
You know what? It's a great shadow to live in, I'll tell you that much.
Good way of looking at it.
Not many people have a career like that. He just had a gifted career. But again, that opened the door for me as well because we had the access to the ice. He knew what he was talking about. I had him in my corner all the time through the highs and the lows. And, I wouldn't have asked for it any other way.
That's cool. So do you guys get into chirping a lot? We had Brian Boucher on, and his son's a first round pick, and he's picked higher than Brian was. And he said they talk shit all the time with each other. Do you talk shit with your dad, or how does that work?
I'm too scared of that.
Fair enough.
I tell you, he's such a nice man too. Like when you're on the ice with him, like he knew how to intimidate. Like I said, he said to me that one time when he says, "I let you hit me," and I'm thinking to myself, first of all, probably true. It's like, well, what are we going to do about that? Like, you can't chirp back at that. It's like,
I like even when I was growing up, like he would come out to like the 3-on-3 game on the small rink, like with the, and he couldn't turn it off. Like, he's like, come on, boys, you got to pick it up here. It's like 3-on-3 summer skate. Like, let's just relax. And he's so competitive.
that's funny.
So,
Probably still that way. Now your poor mother out there in the trails probably has to keep up with him,
she's
right?
going. Oh, she's on the bike. Just he's keeping up with her.
Oh, is she a beast too? Like, she's good? Oh, nice. That's cool. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, listen, thank you very much for having me on. Pleasure meeting you down in Dallas that time. And you should be very proud of yourself. I mean, we joke around with your father's career and everything, but I think you said about your father too. He let you have your own career, right? He didn't interfere in it. He was there to help in your corner, all that. But you're very proud of yourself. You had a great career.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. That was a great interview. We had Long Island's own Eric Nystrom, friend of my friends Eddie and Evan Chalanda, Toe Drag Kings, as he said. But Eric, just like Mark Howe and other guys, he forged his own career out of his dad's shadow, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting to listen to those guys talk. You think, well, is your dad coaching you every day, like drawing things on the mirror in the kitchen, whatever it is. There are mirrors in kitchens?
I don't think that, well, in your house, but
yeah, it's all over the place. But it's interesting that exact opposite. He was always there for him. Bob Nystrom we're talking about, always there for his son, Eric. But he let him have his own career, be his own guy. And even when he wasn't playing well, it seemed like, it wasn't like his dad jumped in there.
No, what Eric said was, I'm sure it was music to your ears, because you love when you hear that. Bob said, you just have to show up and work hard. And if you don't do that, that's basically the advice he gave him. Work hard.
It's amazing. There's so much of that, right? And it's just a lesson for life. You talk about skill and all this kinds of stuff and being gifted.
Yep.
But most guys you talk to, hey, I just showed up and worked every day.
Yeah. That's what you did. And Eric had a great career. He had almost 600 games in the NHL. He was a consistent forward. He had signed a couple of nice contracts. Yeah.
You know what I liked what he talked about too, when he was in Calgary, Mike Keenan was coaching him and things weren't going that great for him. And he realized, I've got to do what Mike Keenan wants. He didn't basically say that, but he knew Mike Keenan wanted him to fight. So he started fighting. He really wasn't a fighter all day. Yeah. He started fighting. That his spotter.
Here we go.
I can't wait till we get him on the show, man. He's one of the nicest guys too, but he knew how to intimidate, just like a look in his eyes, but obviously he had to do the fighting too. So
yeah, he definitely did that for sure.
Yes, he did.
But no, Eric, he raised a great son. He had a great career and he's doing well now. So
he was in cybersecurity too. That's pretty cool.
And you work in typing. So listen, Tom's very tech savvy for someone.
Got a lot better.
Way better.
Yes,
definitely good.
Go back to when my son was trying to get me on Instagram and I didn't know what a hashtag. He started yelling at me. His son Cody, and it's supposed to be like 5 or 6 years ago. He said, if you're not going to work at this, then I'm not going to help you. I said,
wow. Yeah. He gave you a little Bob Nystrom advice there in reverse.
I said, work at it. I don't know what a hashtag is for you or how to do it.
Well, you learned well, and he created a monster because, like I said, you're like a teenage girl with all these posts.
It's true. I have to do it every day. Every day I got to do it. Got to get up at 3:30. But people still get like they talk about the 3:30 thing. They go like, you get up at 3:30 every day?
Yeah, you can sleep in. It's okay.
No sleep in. No, man. I actually saw a video the other day. A guy says he gets up at 2:45 every day.
So he's just not going to sleep. That's the next step.
You just go to 2:44.
Forget sleep.
I'll show you.
But that was a great show. Glad we had Eric on. He had a great career and Long Island guy, Long Island strong.
Good intelligent kid. Really like to see a guy like that that just worked really hard, made a career for himself, and he's doing well. He's a smart kid too.
And he's in great shape. And like you said, they smoked you when you guys played down Dallas. This guy's wheeled on you.
Our poor goalie, Mike Fasula, we really said to him, listen, we're not coming back in our own zone. And I think he thought we were joking around because he said, no, we're not coming back. We're on our own. And then once the game got going, he took the mask out at one point. He had that red face. It just...
So wait, so he's the head of alumni relations. So what if you don't play D? Is he going to be like, you know what? They're not getting booked in these things. You guys probably should have thought that one through a little bit.
Yeah, we're helping him. He's working on his game. He's getting lots of shots. Like, we played too well that he wouldn't get the experience.
There you go. So, well, Mike, I apologize on behalf of Tom and the other Rangers.
Poor Mike Fasula. Great job. Good show. All right, Grasshoppers. Thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.